If you want to learn a quick and simple way to paint colourful tulips in acrylic paint, then this video is for you. I'll walk you through my favourite techniques so that you can learn how to paint your own tulips. This is a shortened version of the tutorial. If you'd like to watch the full-length version in real time with step-by-step instructions, it's available on my Patreon along with all of my other full-length art tutorials. I'll add a link to this in the description. We can start by painting the stalks and leaves using different shades of green. If you want your green to look more natural, try adding a tiny bit of red paint, as this will tone down the vibrancy and create a more realistic shade. Use a darker green to paint the shadows and a lighter, warmer green to add highlights. This will help to give depth and dimension to the stems and leaves. I go into more detail about painting the stalks in the full-length tutorial, but for this video I want to focus mainly on the flowers. Choose a colour for your tulip, then mix 3 shades, a dark, a mid-tone and a light. Use the darkest shade to fill in the entire tulip. It can help to lightly sketch your flowers with a pencil before you start painting. Next, use your lighter shade to gently lighten the tips of the petals. Then, place a little bit of your mid-tone and lighter paint next to each other on your palette. Run your brush through both of them so it picks up the light paint on one side and the mid-tone on the other. Pull your brush down along the edge of the petal, keeping the lighter paint on the inner side. Repeat this on the opposite petal, reversing the brush so that the highlight is on the other side. The lighter edges help the petals to stand out from the centre of the flower, creating that distinctive tulip shape. You can repeat this step with even lighter paint to build more contrast. Repeat the same technique on your next tulip. This will work with any colour, and I'll show you various colours throughout this video. This time I'm using different shades of orange paint. If you'd like to follow a reference image or use a line drawing for this exact painting, you can download them from the full-length tutorial on Patreon. Don't worry if the paint doesn't blend perfectly straight away. If that happens, just use your darker and mid-tone shades to soften the transition into the highlight. This is only the first layer, we'll come back to add more detail later on. For now, we're just blocking in the basic shapes and colours. Continue using this technique to paint the first layer of all of your tulips in any colours that you like. I've zoomed in here so that you can see the technique more clearly. I'm filling the tulip with the darkest shade of pink, then building up the highlights with the lighter shades. Then I get the mid and light paints onto my brush just like before and run it along the petal edges. You can see here that it hasn't blended perfectly, so I'm just using the mid-tone pink to soften the blend between the darker and lighter areas. For the yellow tulips, start with a darker, slightly browner yellow for the base, then use brighter yellows for the highlights. You may need to add a little bit of white to the brighter shades, as yellow can be quite transparent on its own. Use the same technique as before to build up the shape of the petals. To finish the first layer, I'm using orange for the final tulip. Now that the base layer is complete, we can go back and add some more contrast and detail to our flowers. Switch to a smaller, more pointed paintbrush and use lighter paint to brighten the highlights and darker paint to deepen the shadows. This will add more depth and definition to your tulips. Add more white to your lighter shades to create brighter highlights. You can even use pure white for the brightest areas. Next, we can add some brush strokes along the petals to add some detail and texture. Thin down some lighter paint and gently pull your brush along each petal to create soft, subtle lines. Always paint the flowers in the background before the ones in the foreground, as this makes overlapping them much easier. Once your background flowers are finished, you can move on to the tulips in the front. Use the same techniques to build contrast and add detail to each flower, and use lighter paint on the edges to help them stand out from the flowers behind. Continue working on each tulip until you're happy with how they look. that's how you paint colourful tulips in acrylics. I hope you found this video helpful. Don't forget to check out the full-length tutorial if you'd like to learn how to paint this exact piece, and make sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks for watching!